Earlier this summer, the New York Islanders traded away Nick Leddy to the Detroit Red Wings in exchange for Richard Panik and draft picks, and ever since then there's been an ongoing search for a second pairing defenseman on the left side in the top four to play next to Scott Mayfield for the 2021-22 season. Earlier today, Sportsnet's Chris Johnston reported that the Islanders are bringing in unrestricted free agent Erik Gustafsson on a professional tryout, and there's your potential replacement for Nick Leddy in the top four. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, why Erik Gustafsson and not Robin Salo or Samuel Bolduc or Thomas Hickey and Sebastian Aho? And the truth of the matter is, on the last episode of Nassman Hockey Podcast, John Zella and myself both spoke about the situation where Andy Green was brought in for a reason, and that is just because there's something that Barry Trotz is seeing with Thomas Hickey and Sebastian Aho that he just doesn't like. And it's unlikely that now that Andy Green's on the third pair with Noah Dobson, that Barry Trotz is going to trust Hickey or Aho to leapfrog Andy Green and play second pair minutes with Scott Mayfield. As for Bolduc or Salo, if you look at Noah Dobson's rookie season, you'll see that he got sheltered minutes in sheltered games, only playing 34 games in his rookie campaign. And it's not likely that Bolduc or Salo are going to play top 4 minutes in an everyday role, knowing how Barry Trotz and Lou Lamoriello like to ease their rookies into the NHL. Thus, Erik Gustafsson comes into the mix, and the 5-year veteran 29-year-old defenseman has had a journeyed career. He's been on 4 different NHL franchises, and his most notable season is in the 2018-19 season, where he scored 17 goals and 60 points for the Blackhawks. The following year, he only had half of his production in that season when he was then later traded to the Calgary Flames and only played a handful of games there. After his short stint with the Calgary Flames, he signed with the Philadelphia Flyers, and in the 2020-21 season, the Flyers had a down year, as did Erik Gustafsson. He was later traded to the Montreal Canadiens, where the Canadiens would go on a Stanley Cup run. He only played a handful of minutes when he was traded in the regular season to the Canadiens, but then he played 16 games in the playoffs and helped the Canadiens get to the Stanley Cup final. After his short stint with the Calgary Flames, he signed with the Philadelphia Flyers, and in the 2020-21 season, the Flyers had a down year, as did Erik Gustafsson. He was later traded to the Montreal Canadiens, where the Canadiens would go on a Stanley Cup run. He only played a handful of minutes when he was traded in the regular season to the Canadiens, but then he played 16 games in the playoffs and helped the Canadiens get to the Stanley Cup final. And now that 5-year veteran 29-year-old left-handed defenseman will be on a professional tryout with the New York Islanders. The offensive-minded defenseman scored 17 goals and 43 assists for 60 points back in 2018-19 with the Blackhawks. A little bit of a drop-off after that the following season. And then, like we said, he had his journey from the Flyers to the Canadiens, where he just hasn't been the same. However, coming to the Islanders, it's a little bit more of a stable system. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. It's a much more stable system. And although Erik Gustafsson does have some defensive liabilities that are obvious in his game, who better but Barry Trotz to bring that defensive game out of him and maybe boost his play in his own end? If Erik Gustafsson can win the spot on the professional tryout in the top 4 and just bring half of what he brought from the 2018-19 season to the New York Islanders, it'll be a big win for the Islanders on their blue line. There is a big need for a left shot offensive defenseman who can move the puck in the top 4 after losing Nick Leddy, and Erik Gustafsson does have the capabilities of doing that, so it'll be a nice cheap option if he can win the spot on his professional tryout. After Johnny Boychuk goes to long-term injured reserve, the Islanders will have about $2 million in change in cap space left for the regular season, so in case they have to make a trade at the trade deadline or someone gets injured and they have to bring in somebody new, there is a little bit of flexibility there. We will see if Erik Gustafsson wins this spot in training camp. He will be a cheap option, like we said earlier, and if it's not him, the Islanders can easily move on. This is a no-brainer decision for the Islanders because the obvious upside is there, and hopefully Barry Trotz can fix the defensive deficits in Erik Gustafsson's game, but it's a cheap option for now. If it doesn't work out, then the Islanders can easily move on because it's just a PTO. And if he wins the spot, that's even better because they see something in Erik Gustafsson that he can maybe be a potential Nick Leddy replacement. Like we said earlier, if it's just half of what he had in the 2018-19 season, that's a win for the Islanders. Thanks for watching, and if you liked the video, please be sure to hit that like button below, as well as leave a comment and let us know your thoughts on the Islanders bringing in Erik Gustafsson on a professional tryout. Also hit the subscribe button so that you can get notifications whenever Nassman Hockey Podcast uploads a podcast or a video that are posted weekly. In addition to YouTube, you can follow Nassman Hockey Podcast on any podcast platform. We're all over them, so be sure to follow us there, so if you're on the go, you can listen to us audio-wise. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Nassman Hockey. You can join our Discord for a safe space to chat with fellow Islander fans. All of that information can be found in our bios in our social medias. Lastly, you can find my work at The Hockey Writers, John Zella's work at The Hockey Writers, and Joe Pantorno's work at AM New York. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.